Okay.
I think we're live.
I think so. Yes, we are. Hopefully, we'll have some people will hop on.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So let's give it just a minute, and then we'll get started with our conversation.
Okay, perfect. And we're live now. I think we're live on Facebook. I'm not sure about Instagram.
You know what? We're not live on Instagram because we have to. It's something else has to happen, so we'll have to just like download this and put it on there.
Oh, I
So we
see.
won't.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes
I mean, I
sense.
could have put my phone up there and made me go live, but I got
Okay,
to
we'll
get.
just use
I have to
Facebook.
get technical help to help me figure out what to do.
Call the IT guy.
Yeah, I have to call call my IT person. He'll come right over. I think actually Ashley or Manny can help us.
Okay.
All right,
Well,
so
yeah.
let's let's get started. So happy Teacher Appreciation Week. I hope that everyone is having a great week and that you guys have been showered with some great things. Hopefully, Deanna, what have you seen out of? I know you've been in schools this week.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty creative things. One of the schools had like a team of massage people come,
Ooh, nice.
and they did like, just like shoulder
Oh, the
massages in the
massage.
little
Mhm.
chair during break. I thought that was cute. Another school that I was at, instead of like getting everybody coffee, they actually had like a barista set up in the
Nice.
actual faculty room and they could get
Mhm.
coffee. Thought that was cute. And then as a school leader, I always like it when school leaders do teach one class for their teachers throughout the week.
Mhm.
So like just kind of rotate and do a takeover. And it's good for them because they get good data about what's going on inside the classroom. And then they also get to give their teacher an extra just like little break or a prep
Mhm.
period. So I've seen a
Nice.
lot of really fun things. Yeah.
Some schools have gotten very elaborate with their teacher appreciation weeks as well. I mean, like what they've like dressed up the faculty
Yeah.
area. And I've seen like pictures of it where they turn the room into Starbucks or turn it into one of them was, I guess they did Jason's Deli, so they turned it into a deli. I know at my daughter Tasha's school, she did like a airplane cart. So she went around to each
Oh,
room
that's
and they
so
were able to,
cute.
yeah, they were able to get a snack for one day, and then she did Jason's Deli one day, and then tomorrow they get like a shirt and some other
Oh, I
stuff.
love the idea of a little
Yeah,
cart. That's so
yeah, the
cute.
cart like she's very creative, so she
Yeah.
decorated it up, and um we tried to get her to get like a stewardess outfit, but she told us we were going too far on that. So she just wore navy. Um
That's so fun.
yeah, to act like she was doing that. But I did want to talk about, I know, the end of school is always so crazy. And I want to talk about like how people are dealing with behaviors.
Mhm.
I know, there are a lot of unstructured time at the end of school. So what is, I guess, what would we say, like encouragement to them, number one. Number two,
Yeah.
what tips can we give to them about, when you're having like all these fun days, but yet you still have kids who are having behavior issues? Or I know a lot of schools say, you know what, we have field day coming up, we have, a spring fling, whatever. They'll take that activity away from those students who are misbehaving.
Mhm.
I know when I was a principal, that's something that we try to avoid because,
Yeah.
they have a good time too. But at the same time, we want them to make sure that they're being, on their very best behavior as well. And sometimes we would say, you know what, you get to go to that, but your mama has to come be with you
Oh, okay.
because
Yeah.
you haven't shown us that you're going to know how to act.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, I see a lot of teachers that did not lay like the foundation in the beginning of the year because that's really the key. You have to, if you don't have a foundation to build on and you've had chaos all year, it's
Yep.
really, really hard to start having structure now.
Mhm.
And so,
Mhm.
what I usually encourage folks to realize is like, you can't expect kids to, in May, just
Mm-mm.
magically kind of click. Like, you have to have been building that foundation for a while.
Right.
So it's never too late to really set up like really clear expectations and strategies for your classroom, and to really double down on the community building. I recommend that people spend, even though it's busy, spend more time building community, more circles, having folks come together, talking about like their ups and downs for
Yeah.
the week, how they feel like they did with their behavior, encouraging them
Mhm.
to reflect on what they were doing. Because I see a lot of teachers that get to this point and then they're just detention, 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 kick out of class, kick out of class.
Right.
It gets to
Right.
a point where there's only so much you can take away and you're
Mhm.
out of time. So then
Mhm.
the worst thing is an empty threat. And then you're just like saying, like, well, if you don't do this, then we're not going
Mhm.
to, and you never do it. So I
Right.
recommend teachers to avoid getting into those power struggles if at all possible, by like pretending it's the first week of school again and doing a
Mhm.
refresh on, this is how we move in the classroom, these are our procedures, these are expectations. Like, that's actually what you need to be doing, more than just empty threats and
Mhm.
kind of going back and forth. So
And I
I go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I think we should also, teachers should also say, you know what, we have this going on. We're going to be in the gym today. We're going to be outside today. Set those expectations before before the activity. Don't wait till you get outside and say, no, we're staying in a line, which hopefully you wouldn't have them staying in a line. But I think the behavior expectations should be talked about, gone
Yeah.
over, reviewed, because the kids need to know what the expectation is. Even though it is a less structured day, you still expect for them to behave, basically.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's very
agree.
important. Very important. I think that's part of it. But like classroom management can, like, if you don't have a solid foundation for classroom management, I'm so sorry to tell you, there's no learning occurring if you don't
Yeah,
have your classroom
yeah.
management under wraps or intact, I should say.
I think what I'm seeing a lot now, though, is they're not, a lot of teachers are not getting the strategies that they need in their credentialing programs to be
Mhm.
able to run classrooms. So, and it's
Right.
difficult because as a school leader, you don't always have the capacity to like really break things down. And I know a lot of schools have cut coaches because of
Mhm.
funding. So you
Mhm.
have kind of a perfect storm where kids have more behavior needs than ever because of, we're still dealing with the fallout of the pandemic
Mhm.
and just the shortened attention spans and just the shifts in our society. And then you have teachers that don't have the skills, principals that
Right.
don't have the time, and
Right.
coaches that have been, cut really in a
Mhm.
lot of
Mhm.
places. So it's a very challenging time for folks to navigate through. But I think sometimes we say, like, we kind of, because we joke about it so much online, or it's such a thing that people think that it's not possible to have a solid classroom, and that's not the case. Like, as much as you always are going to have some students that push boundaries, you don't have to have a chaotic classroom. Like,
Mm-mm.
you can
Mm-mm.
have a well-organized classroom. It is possible. It just
Right.
takes extra investment and strategies to get you
Right.
there, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I think that principals like have to, like, they have, especially for the new people, they have to be in those classrooms to know, to identify those teachers in the very beginning of school who might need that extra um, help, need extra help with classroom management. Because honestly, I know just from interviewing people, you can interview somebody, they have a great interview. You think, oh my gosh, they can talk the talk, but when they get in that classroom, it is pure chaos.
Yeah.
So, and I think that, you have to inspect what you expect. And so
Yeah.
principals, assistant principals, coaches, everybody has to, you got to be in the classrooms to know, especially in the very beginning, to know what support those, especially those new people. Even if someone has experience, but they're new to your school, they still
Yeah.
have to learn your school culture. So you need to make sure that you're, checking out to make sure that they are fitting into what you know, what needs to happen in the classroom. I think that's
Yeah.
important because you can nip some of that in the bud by immediately giving them support, um, giving them feedback, letting them know, here at ABC Elementary, this is
Yeah.
not what we do. We here's what we expect. So I think that is very, very important. And I know, trust me, I know principals are busy. I know that things get crazy. I know y'all have like a 5,000 hats, but at the same time,
Yeah.
um, I'm telling you, if classroom management is not good, there is no learning going on. So, and
I
I'm
think
sure, I mean,
go ahead.
yeah, I'm sure of that. I'm sure of that.
Yeah. And I think too, a lot of folks get stuck in the idea of like, oh, it'll get better, or we just need to give it some time. Sometimes you have to be decisive about support.
Right.
If you have a teacher that is showing you, even now, we're in teacher appreciation. What shows the teacher that they're appreciated more than supporting them? That's
Mhm.
much more meaningful than just ordering Chipotle for everybody for the day.
Exactly.
Like that goes a
Exactly.
lot further. So I have some principals that are, oh, well, we'll see. No, no, we'll see. Go in there, take an
Mhm.
hour out of your day to make sure you're in that room supporting that teacher, helping
Exactly.
them out. That's how you can really show appreciation. And in my work, I really try to push people to understand that appreciation doesn't always just look like something
Something
that is a
tangible.
gift. Yeah,
Right.
appreciation, you have to like really think about what does it mean to show this person they are valued and
Mhm.
respected
Mhm.
inside the school community. And
Mhm.
yeah, support, being present, being visible
Right.
as a school leader, that's how you really show that in a deep way.
Absolutely. That's so important. Like, so important. We just have like, especially for our newer teachers, we gotta give them the support that they need. We
Yeah,
must. Because like you said earlier, in their college classes, some of the stuff is on the job training. A
yeah,
lot of the stuff is on the job
yeah,
training, even though, because what they, depending on what teacher they had or how it was taught, um, they just don't get it yet. They
yeah,
absolutely don't get it. So I think that it is important to make sure that we are giving them support for sure.
hmm,
Um, so let's switch over to talk about. I know some systems are having lots of cutbacks, and I know, like, I know of at least two instructional coaches who have been sent back to the classroom for next year. And I think that
hmm,
we think about like everything that's going on in the White House, but I
yeah,
think that this is a different issue because what happened was that the money for the COVID money, or I think they called it the ARA money, that the
yeah.
federal
I started,
government gave to schools for COVID, that money ran out. Well,
yeah,
so many school systems hired people, and now they cannot sustain that because they don't have the money to sustain it because they're not getting all those millions and millions of dollars. I think my
yeah,
school district got like $155 million
wow,
from COVID. It was a lot. It was a big amount of money. So they did do some things, and now those things are having to go bye bye because they don't have the funds, and the federal government is not saying it's not a pandemic anymore, so they have cut that program, like it
yeah,
ended. So I think that's not good, and I hate when but this is like a cycle. Like in my 30 year, or now it's been over 30 years, but you this always happens. They give you all this money, you do all these things, and I think the people planning it don't think about when it's over. Is this
yeah,
something? And I think the first question they should ask themselves is this activity, person, um, program something that we will be able to sustain once we
long
no
term,
longer have this money? Can our budget are we still going to be able to have these things? Because I
yeah,
think that, especially with the coaches, that is like sad, and just coaches are needed because they
yeah,
need, like, they might be able to give you an idea, give you an extra hand in math or reading. something that
Mhm.
the kids are struggling with. So I think that you would think we would learn from our mistakes, but it every time the federal government gives a lot of money, then they cut people. It's
Yeah,
just like a cycle. So,
inevitable.
um, and I hate that. I hate that for the schools. I hate it for everybody involved because if you've been a coach and now you got to go back to a classroom, um, that's not that's not something. I mean, obviously you wanted to be a coach and work with teachers rather
Mhm.
than working directly with students. So I hate that for them. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
know it's happening a lot.
I think too, like what's interesting is schools, how they think about how to spend the funds. And that's why I encourage teachers, even if you're not in a leadership position, to be tapped into how your school is spending the funding that they have.
Mhm.
Because one thing that schools will always do is they will spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on curriculum. They
Yep.
are so willing to like
Yep.
and it's so fascinating because so right now one of the districts I work in, they just got a new curriculum and it was supposed to be the curriculum that was going to, transform for the ELs and all of this stuff. Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Mhm.
And they did a huge push, but the teachers don't use it. I mean, they don't use it. They don't they use it when they're being observed, but they don't really use it. They don't really use it to fidelity. They don't really use all the components. And so it's very interesting because a lot of schools will spend the money on a curriculum, but
Mhm.
most teachers, if you ask them, they're not using curriculums that they get for fidelity. And that's a whole different conversation. But
Yeah.
I think it's really important if you're a teacher and you're thinking about like budget and what that looks like, I would highly encourage you to be involved in those conversations and ask questions about where the funding is allocated and what it does do
Mhm.
and what it doesn't do, because it's really important for us to be aware of how the funds are being spent and
Mhm.
recognize like where's the return on investment, right? A
Exactly.
lot of these curriculums, they don't have a good return on investment.
Mhm.
That's the reality.
Mhm. And a lot
So
of them are very expensive as
very
well.
expensive.
And if you like you said with fidelity, but the teachers have to be trained on how to use the curriculum in order to have fidelity. And
Exactly.
if that's a missing piece, then that means that that's going to be a gigantic missing piece in the curriculum.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
think that is something that in education, that's another thing that repeats itself over and over
Yeah,
and over again. Yeah,
yeah.
which is
We
so
gotta
sad.
be better about that.
Yeah. What about summertime? Like what would you suggest that people do? Number one, it goes by so fast. Number two, of course, get some rest and relaxation. But as they're thinking about next school year, what are some things that you might suggest to them?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, it really depends on what, like your own energy level, like get lots of rest, of course, and do all the things. I would recommend picking up a hobby, a non-teaching hobby, something that
Mhm.
engages your mind in a different way outside of like being on your phone. But I think it's really powerful to like grow your brain, like learn how to play an instrument, pick up a craft
Mhm.
activity, something like that.
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of like books. Like with my friends, we always have a summer book club and we read like a teaching book. I do a lot of book clubs over the summer with my book, Rooted in Joy, because it's a good text that kind of helps you think about how you want to set up your classroom. And so my friends and I will pick like either an instruction focused book or a classroom community focused book, um, and read it over the summer and then kind of like talk about it. So like a book club or,
Mhm.
just a book club with like a fun book too works. But I would say thinking about what, really taking some time to reflect on what were your big successes and what were your big challenges this year.
Mhm.
And the successes is important too, because identifying what you did well is just as important as identifying what you want to change. And so
Mhm.
I think like take the time to say like what went really well. Maybe your ELA block was amazing. Great. You want to leave that alone. So think about things that you did really well and spend some time in reflection, like thinking about how you want to make adjustments for next year so that you can hit the ground running. A
Right.
lot of teachers, I understand you want to rest, But for me, I did not want to come back, and I only had 1 day before the kids got there.
Oh
That
yeah.
was that was stressful to me, like,
Hmm.
because I'm not ready. So I chose to work, and yes, it was unpaid, but it ended up paying off for me in the long run. I chose
Hmm.
to come in, play in my classroom, reorganize things, all of that stuff, because
Right.
it yielded results later because I
Mhm.
hit the ground running and ready in September. So back when we
Exactly.
started in September.
Right.
So
And
that's
I
something to
think,
think about too.
yeah, I think that, people are like sometimes don't think about, okay, if I go ahead and do this, let me put this on the front end of the school year, then that's going to save them so much time once you're back. Because once you're back, you got all those meetings, you got to get your classroom decorated, you have all this stuff that is just going to be bam, bam, bam. So you really won't have time to, you know, have time to
Yeah.
really breathe. So think about that. And that just like ups your stress level to me. I
Yeah.
always let my teachers come back. If they want to come back a couple of weeks and, work an hour a day, I was so fine with that. Um,
Yeah. Front
it wasn't
loading.
mandatory, but it was something that many of them did, and they did it so that they could get ahead, and get a jump start on the school year. So I think
Yeah.
that's something for everybody to think about as well.
And then it's fun. You can come in with your teacher friends, take turns, like
Yeah.
setting up each other's rooms, get your playlist, get snacks, like make it fun.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
so.
exactly. And you could even stop and go out to lunch, which, teachers don't get to
Yeah.
do that. So
Yeah.
that's always a good thing as well. So what's the one thing you would say to the teachers as they finish the school year strong?
Mm. I would say as you're finishing the school year strong is to remember to look up. Like, don't get so caught in the day to day grind of the hullabaloo of like, oh, I have to do this test and I'm proctoring and this and that and the other, that you don't like look up and take a moment, because
Mhm.
if you're a middle school or even elementary teacher, this is your last time with your kids.
Yeah.
You'll probably, unless you're looping with them, this is your last couple of weeks that you'll ever spend
Mhm.
with them. So make
Mhm.
sure you take a second to look up. Like for me, I regret the years that I was so focused on like finishing the year strong, finishing the year strong. I forgot to like take the pictures that I wanted to take with the kids,
Right.
and, like
Right.
make sure that I got the parents' phone numbers so I could text them happy first day of
Mhm.
school the next year. Just like those kinds of things. So I would say don't forget to look up and just look at where you are and
Don't
appreciate
forget
your
to breathe too. Don't forget to
breathe.
breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
so busy, but it's like that's your last year with them probably. And you don't want
Mhm.
it to be so fast that, you look up and it's just business, 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 and then it's
Right.
summer. So give yourself some
Yeah.
grace.
I've actually attended the funeral of my favorite teacher ever. She taught me 3rd grade today, and the one thing I kept thinking about, like, all the things that, like, made her so wonderful to me, and I think it was her compassion, her, like, she always let us know, like, how much she cared about us. It was so important to her that we were successful beyond her. Like, that was, something she always taught us. So it was really bittersweet to be able to sit there today and reflect on, gosh, she taught me in 3rd grade. She also was my daughter Tasha's favorite teacher as well. So that was just it was bittersweet. So know that, like, I'm about to be 60. She had me when I was in 3rd grade. So that's a bunch of years
Yeah.
ago. So know that, like, teachers make such an impact on the entire
Such
world.
an impact.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just something to think about, and know that even when you don't think your kids are watching you, they are watching you. And so that's what I would say is just, try to make the best of every single day. I know that there are so many pulls on you guys. I know that some schools, don't have no support. Some schools have great support. So it depends on your situation, but know that you as the teacher, you make such an instructional and really life
Yeah.
impact on all of your students. So that's what I
Yeah.
would say. Yeah.
Yeah. And,
So
stay tapped into the Teach Your Heart Out community because we're all like
absolutely.
supporting and helping each other. It's just nice to have, other people that you can keep talking to and that are experiencing the same thing as you and hearing about like, oh, that's how you do it in your state. Like, this is how we do it over here. Community is really the lifeblood of education. And even though a lot of times we're the only adult in the room, that doesn't
Mhm.
mean that we don't need other teachers like surrounding us later. So, make
Right.
sure that I hope that your teacher squad is Teach Your Heart Out and continue to, be involved and know that we're, walking along with you on the way of this like bumpy but wonderful journey.
Exactly. So Deanna, do you want to tell them a little bit about Empowered Educator?
Yeah. So the Empowered Educator, that's a perfect segue into talking about community, is a membership community where we really focus on providing you with resources that will have an impact in your classroom, but also building up that community of teachers that are like learning together, people that are passionate about engagement, people that are passionate about just the spirit of Teach Your Heart Out, right? A lot of community. We always say it's more than a conference, it's a community. And
Mhm.
so when you're inside the membership, what it feels like is, the social aspect of having folks that you can talk to and bounce ideas off of and work together and like lesson planning support, that kind of stuff. But then also we have a massive bank with like over 100 freebies, downloadables,
Mhm.
resources from,
Mhm.
and they're all organized by like grade level and what the subject is. And so there's a ton of resources that are very much plug and play. So there's stuff that if you're like lesson planning and you're like, okay, I just need something for this, you can go on. And
Mhm.
then there's other things on there as well that are like more in-depth um, webinar training videos. So if you're
Mhm.
somebody that is struggling with management, maybe you didn't get what you needed and your principal is not able to help you, we have videos from experts on management. We have videos from experts on engagement. We have different speakers that come in every month and help our community grow and learn. So if you are inside, you get access to all of that. And it's just a really fun place to be and to learn and bringing some of the life, I think, back into teaching because teaching can be so stressful and isolating.
Mhm.
So it's a fun
And we
place.
we also have a special resources for leaders and aspiring leaders as well. We also will have not only the webinar, but then we'll have an option for you to actually be able to also get the train, like it's like a train the trainer model. So you'll be able to get the training to then go back and share with your staff as well. So that's something that we're offering in the membership as well. So we're excited about that. We're adding resources practically every day. Like Deanna said, we have lesson plans. We have lots of freebies in there. And so we hope that you guys will think about it, take it on, and we'd love to have you on the inside, as they say, for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah. It'll be fun. We'll
Um,
see you inside.
I think that let's talk a minute, Deanna, about um relationships at school. Like this
Mhm.
is just like a funny, like have you ever had have teachers had teachers to start like being in a relationship, if you know what I mean?
Oh, dear.
And if you did, like how did you deal with it?
Yeah.
What suggestions? Because I know this is happening all over America, honey.
Hmm.
And so I think it can get a little like I can't really talk. I've of course had experience with it, but I
Yeah.
don't know if I want to talk about that. But I'll just say you tell me yours, and then I'll think about how I can lay mine out so that the parties remain anonymous.
Ooh, okay. Some hot tea for y'all. Some
Yeah.
spicy teacher drama. Um, yeah, out of school where I was the assistant principal, we did have it was not our teacher staff, but our IAs. And I don't
Now,
know if it
what is an
an
IA?
instructional aid, our instructional
Oh,
aides.
okay, gotcha. Like a
Yeah.
parapro,
Yeah.
paraprofessional. Okay.
Yeah. Well, ours are different than our paras were like assigned specifically to our sped students, and an IA is like it can be somebody who is doing coverages. It can be someone who's running copies. Like they're kind of
Oh, gotcha.
like
Okay.
a bonus
Okay.
person. A lot of them were current college students that wanted to become teachers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's really cool. And in here, and I'm sure in everywhere, there's not a lot of men in education.
No. And
So
if they're cute,
anytime,
you better watch
yeah,
out.
I know. I hate to say it, but anytime you have like a young, single, handsome man, it's always quite the hullabaloo for the staff. And so
Yeah.
it's funny because we did have we got a man who was an IA who came in like halfway through the year, and the streets were buzzing. I mean, the
Mhm.
coffee room was just all a Twitter. So it's pretty funny. And he ended up like seriously dating one of the other IAs. I guess he, kind of had his pick of the litter and chose who he chose.
Right.
And it was initially like awkward at first because the thing that made it awkward was the kids caught on. See, adults think that they're slick. It's like you were saying, kids watch you more than you realize. And the kids
Mhm.
like
They
notice, they're
do.
like,
And
oh,
they will tell your business. Let's be
well,
clear.
like,
They will
oh,
tell
so
your
and so has
business.
a crush on it was like, I was like,
Right.
y'all gotta really be careful because the kids are catching wind of this. Luckily, what ended up happening is that teacher, like I was saying, she was in a credentialing program. She was an IA getting her credential. And then when she got her teaching credential, she went to another school in the same like network. So
Mhm.
we were able to separate them.
Right, right.
But yeah, it was pretty funny. It was not bad, but I think it was just like interesting because the kids notice, and kids are nosy.
Oh my gosh, yes, they are.
They love your
So
bit, like,
nosy.
yeah, they're just like, so
Mhm.
they wanted to know, they wanted to be all up in it. So it was pretty funny
Yeah.
watching
I
the love.
when I taught 4th grade, I had I actually was married at the time. And so one of my parents, it was like close to the end of school, and he's like, "Hey, can I talk to you?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I didn't know what he wanted. He was like, "Well, I just wanted to ask you, are you married?" And I was like, "Yes, I am. I am." He was like, "Oh,
Oh, no.
I was like, "Yeah, I'm married." I said, "I have twin daughters. Been married." I think at the time I probably been married 10 or 12 years.
Very, yeah.
And yeah, that was just like very awkward. But I don't, even though school was about to end, if I
Yeah.
were single, I don't know that I would have like crossed over and said, "Oh," because he was so cute, like adorable. And I loved his child to death.
Yeah.
So, I think that would have been like, maybe, I don't know. I don't know how I would have handled it, but I mean, I was married and I wasn't about to, cross over and
Yeah.
to the affair land, as they say. That wasn't gonna happen. But I have, as an administrator, I've had to deal with like when staff started like dating each other, and sometimes that's kind of hairy, especially if they are on the same grade level.
Ooh.
And so they have like planning together. You walk in their room, the lights are out, and you're like, what in the world is going on here? Or, if one of them's absent and the other one's absent, so you're like,
Yeah.
okay, that's like, you like I used to always say I was born at night, but not last night. So it didn't take much to figure out what was going on, and that can sometimes cause some issues, you know, that you really don't really wanna have to deal with at work. So, I would say I know it's bound to happen, especially like you said, when it's a cute teacher,
Yeah.
um, it's inevitable almost that it would happen for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
But
so
I
it's
would
like
not recommend it.
right, right, I wouldn't either. I would
Not
say,
recommend it.
find somebody outside of your work. Number 1,
Mhm.
do you really wanna, like, spend every single day with that person and then you gotta go home to them? I don't know.
Yeah,
'Cause in
it's a
my
lot.
in my school district, there used to be a system policy that a husband and wife could not work together. And
Oh, wow.
then, like, I guess it was my 2nd or 3rd year, they changed that policy and they could be in the same school.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
um And I think there are pros and cons. I mean, one bad thing is if something happens in that family, then you have two people immediately gone.
Yeah.
Who are going to be out. So you need two subs instead of one. So I think that's something to think about. But I think it depends on the school district. But I just I wouldn't recommend, you fall in love with somebody who is on your staff because it just
No.
gets to be. But you can't help who you love, so they say.
Go get a dating app. Go get a dating app. Start
Yeah.
swiping. Don't look for your husband at school. Is what
Right,
I
right,
would say.
right, right. And I do like one of the goals that we have for Teach Your Heart Out is we want to engage more men. We want to have more men coming to Teach Your Heart Out. We want to have more men in the membership because I think that their experiences are things that can help everyone. Because sometimes when you do have a man on your staff, I think that they're like things are put on them that sometimes should not be. And I think that they also bring some things to the table that women don't bring to the table. So I would love for more men to come in and be involved with Teach Your Heart Out for sure. I think that's important. Yep, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
there's just not very many in our field, but if
Right.
there are some gentlemen watching this, join the community.
Exactly. Exactly. So, all right. So thanks for your time tonight, Deanna. This has been great. And I hope everyone has a great, like we said, try to finish this school year strong. Remember, take one day at a time. Remember to talk to your kids before you're changing up. Like if you know you're going to have a less structured day, give them
Yeah.
notice, talk to them about your expectations so that you guys have a great day and not a whole bunch of chaos going on.
Yeah, absolutely. You got this, guys. We're rooting for you. We'll see you inside the membership. If not, we'll see you on Teach Your Heart Out, Hi-Ho for short, all of our socials. Let us know how it's going. Send us a DM, drop a comment. If there's anything that we can do to help you, we would love to. As well as, when you see this video posted, share it with one of your teacher besties.
Exactly.
And you can let us know in the comments if there ever been any workplace teacher romances at your job. How did it go? Maybe you have a success story. Maybe
Oh, that
you
would be
made
great
your
to
wife
hear.
or husband at school. Yes, let us know.
Yeah. All right. Take care and good night.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.